So, what's the news on Sonic Boom Fire and Ice? It's been fuck all since its announcement.
Mm.
Because here's the thing: we had a few screenshots and we had a trailer.
Mm.
That's it.
That was it
That
for
has been fuck all since its announcement.
yeah, and there was some speculation wondering, is this going well? Is it going to fuck up like Layers of Lyric again? And then we just got this
Well,
bit of news.
Shattered Crystal, I believe, was only given 4 months to develop the game, or probably slightly more than that, but obviously
Mm.
less than a year, and obviously less time than what you need to develop a 3DS game.
Mm.
Obviously, this gets announced, and if a Sonic game gets announced early in the year, maybe, what was it, May or April, May when we got the announcement?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And usually I could just speculate, it'll come out November time, the holiday season.
Christmas time at least,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's not the case. Firstly, it's all been sorted out now, apparently, since it's been updated several times since I saw this.
Mm.
Gamefly lists the release date for Fire and Ice as December 31st, 2016.
Mm.
The fuck?
Yeah. At first it was just a rumor
Yeah,
that was
it
like...
was slated for a holiday 2015 release, which we expected.
Mm.
Okay, maybe maybe a year from now was a mistake.
Mm.
So then, I know Amazon Germany listed it as July 29th, 2016.
Mm.
A bit closer, but still, why the hell do we have to
A year off.
Why the hell do we wait a year off for this game? And honestly, I don't think anyone wants a Sonic Boom game in correlation to Sonic's 25th.
Well, I don't know.
I know some people out there. It's like, no, we want a traditional Sonic Generation style game for Sonic's 25th anniversary, even though we just had one 5 years ago.
Yeah, well, we'll find that out soon.
We'll find out something since it'll be a big deal. Then, an update, Amazon UK had it listed as November 17th, 2015. That is more reasonable.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's been delayed to 2016 on Sega's official blog post.
So they basically said, okay, you know the rumors, we're going to tell you the truth.
Yeah, so firstly, why the delay? I understand you want more development time for it and say, yeah, Shattered Crystal wasn't that good, but we'll show you what we can actually do with this, where we're not being forced into it. And secondly, having a delayed game can be good. But delaying it so much to a point where you don't have a Sonic game released this year? No one bring up Sonic Runners, I don't count that as a game.
Yeah.
Mobile games don't count.
No.
So is this really no Sonic game this year?
I mean, well, let's be fair. I mean, this year alone, we've had the whole everybody getting pissed off at Sega and them saying sorry and we'll do better. And
Because
still,
Atlas they bought Atlas and
yeah,
Sega, you fucked up. This is how you actually do games.
yeah. Well,
So at least they came out in honest. It's just Sega to come across being, here we go, here's a Sonic game. We actually took some lessons from Atlas.
yeah, and all that jazz. Well, I mean, I doubt they have anything to do with that game at least. But
No.
I mean, let's be fair. It's been a rough year for Sega in general. So obviously, I think the idea of releasing another Sonic Boom game, and while we're still off the Hofker of rather oh, that's the death nail of Sonic the Hedgehog for the 700 billionth fucking time.
No, it was a nail in the coffin for Sonic Boom straight away. It's like, here's a game. Shit, it sucks.
I know, but people just like to use it as an excuse, thinking, "Why Sonic shit? Here's the reason." It's like, I thought
well,
this is
at least not Sonic 06 anymore, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is odd. I mean, I think there's two reasons why they may have delayed it. The first thing is, as we know, the TV show, which has been the sole thing that's keeping Boom alive of all things.
And probably the toys as well, but we're not too sure of that.
Yeah, well, we haven't seen any of them, so we don't know that.
No, we know they exist. It's just that we haven't seen any sales data for it.
Yeah, I could tell you. Oh, I got to tell you a Toys R Us thing, but anyway, get back to the point. Like I said, I mean, the TV show's done very well, and we've still got a lot of episodes out. So my only thought is, if next year, if they're going to do maybe some of like, oh, we're going to announce season 2, and we're going to release it next year, tie in with Fire and Ice. So whether it's some sort of plan to do with that.
Possibly.
Possibly.
That is quite a stretch for a reason.
Yeah. And again, I think part of the other reason, as you said, we've heard nothing about Fire and Ice. And normally, when we don't hear anything about games, this is normally the tripit time of thinking: is things going right? Is it going wrong? And this is where a lot of like the infamous behind the scenes stories happen and stuff. Which there's
Especially with stuff like Knight's Journey of Dreams, which was delayed.
yeah, exactly. Again, it's not the first time a Sonic game's been delayed. I mean, I remember reading up saying Sonic 4 1 was delayed.
Yeah, that was delayed.
Yeah,
True, it wasn't the best Sonic game we released, but it wasn't
no.
bad.
No, although I think it was because people leaked it and think, "Oh my God, look at the physics! Then the minecart can't fucking work." And it's like, yeah, it's not done yet.
Yeah,
Dumbass.
it's a beta,
Yeah,
beta.
yeah. And I think the second reason is this is the big thing because I've been talking to a friend of mine called James, and he says one thing: if Sega really want to regain respect from players again, is then they got to really beta test their games a lot. So if anything, if this is a chance for Sonicguru Games and Sega to really get people in, try out Fire and Ice, see what works, see what doesn't work, and really hone down to
Yeah,
make this game work.
I have a lot of faith in Zanzaro since their library so far, minus Sonic Boom, is pretty decent.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying, but I think it's the case of again, this is different because I went to Team 17 where they did they asked us to do a beta testing for a game, which for the sake I won't say what it was, but again, it was pretty much at that point saying we want to know what this game's like. It's playable, but we want you to play through it. Can you understand it? Is there things that you weren't sure about, or the things weren't quite clear, objectives, or is there a glitch you found and stuff? So it's really a case of you got the game done and ready and it's workable, but it's that last minute. Well, what's still left? What could we just improve at the last few minutes that we have of this game?
Yeah,
Because famously, Naughty Dog have always said that the difference from a game from like 6 months to 3 months in production is almost completely
yeah. I
different.
think the last game where Sega really went all out in its quality assurance was Sonic Unleashed. Like we're not like it came obviously after Sonic 06. Like we're not going to do any fuck ups on this. Make sure it works. Ideas, and
Yeah,
it pretty much was a flawless game. There was barely any. There were a
yeah.
few
I mean,
bugs, like getting stuck in the wall in one level. Fair enough, but everything else is pretty much fine. Then color.
yeah. I mean, the
And I
story.
think from that point on,
Sorry.
like the colors trying to make it better, and Generations, it's a celebration. The only thing that got it over their heads, like we can got Sonic fans back, we can do something new, and it went downhill pretty fucking quickly.
Well, that's the difference. I mean, obviously, the main Sonic series, in terms of quality-wise, I mean, Unleashed was the first step to we really got to sort this out because this is a big problem. And then they've just been going up and up right up to where Generation was. So arguably, the next game is still going to be on the high. Boom, of course, is a different story because it's a spin-off and all that jazz. But the funny thing with Unleashed was the story goes is that they were working on the Hedgehog engine, which they've nicknamed.
Yeah.
The story was they were working on that around about the same time when they were doing 06. So it may have been like they were already working on that and maybe realized this isn't going to work, but we got to get it done because there's no time. But they had that as a backup plan, thinking, well, we got this other thing we can do. So if we can get that working, then the next game we focus on how to make this game work from a technical side and obviously gameplay and all that jazz, because that's the most important thing in these things.
But even so, coming back to Fire and Ice, it's still 0.
Yeah, I mean, here's the story that this is a Team 17 story. Dan said it many times, but I'll just lay it out to you people. Here's the thing. A few years ago, they worked on a Leisure Suit Larry game called Box Office Boss, and this was a collaboration with Sierra, who owned the rights. And funny enough, when I went there, when I first visited them, they were actually still working on this game. They were still like making environments and modeling cars and stuff. And a few months down the line, it eventually was announced saying, we got this new 3D, Let's Shoot Larry game, all this jazz, blah, blah. I thought, oh, that's really good. And then as the weeks and months went on, nothing really came out. There was like little bits of news or like screenshots or a trailer. But really, there was nothing for a long time, a real long time. I mean, part of the reason was because of the Activision Blizzard buyout stuff. Yeah, that whole jazz. And really, of course, when it did come out of the blue, it was like, oh, it's out now. I was like, really? Oh, that was kind of out of the blue. If you played it, it's pretty fucking dreadful. And the main reason why the story was basically when this whole buyout happened, Team 17 was told to put the game on shelf. At a point where the game was playable and you can do it from beginning to end, but there was so much they needed to fix. Like, they needed to do the menu right or some of the like icon patterns and stuff and, where you need to go and animations and stuff. There was still things not finished or refined yet, and yet they couldn't do anything. They were just told, no, leave it, that's it. So, if anything, that was what ultimately killed that game off. And I think this is the thing what Sega really need to do, particularly with this game, is to make sure that you really get the quality up substantially. And again, like you said, I believe in Zero games. The Shadow Crystals, everybody said, is the better one out of the two.
And
If
Sly
anything,
Thieves in Time was actually pretty good. It wasn't.
oh yeah, definitely. So,
You might hear it wasn't as good as Sly 2 or 3, but still good quality.
well, to
And
be
they
fair,
headed the HD collection.
yeah, exactly. I mean, at that point, I mean, let's be fair. I mean, Sucker Punch were already doing Infamous at that point, so it was like, okay, we can't do a new Sly game, but hey, you guys, we trust you. Make a new one. And it worked. I mean, I think the only problem is nobody bought it. That's the only real problem with that game. Um, but yeah, I have faith in them. It's just at the end of the day, if Sonic Boom is to continue as maybe one or two games, maybe every now and again, they really have to focus on what can we do with Boom as a game series that the main series can't, which is really what it's meant to be, which is utilizing the
focus heavily on the
characters.
quality assurance and make sure this is a game people want and enjoy, rather than let's just make it because it makes us money, which is about 90%.
Well, let's just get it out for like
that's
this.
the equivalent to a Square Enix sequel.